Good evening. Just around the corner here, we're going to start the Buddy Martin Show Monday night. MELDON Law Monday with our cast of the usuals. Shane Matthews will be here. We got a new guest tonight. Not new, but new for a lot of you folks. Mark Daniels from Orlando, the Beat of Sports, talking about what if the Jaguars decide to go down there and play. We'll see. And, of course, the Iron Duke will be here tonight. As always, lots to talk about. Come join us and tell your friends and neighbors. The Buddy Martin Show is on the air. We'll be on the air until 9. Come give us your comments. We'd love to hear from you. All right? Stand by. Here comes the Buddy Martin Show right now. Tell your friends and neighbors.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye!
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening and welcome to the program. On a Monday night, I'm Buddy Martin. The program is heard 4 nights weekly right here on this channel, Monday through Thursday. We have a variety of really good guests. And one of them is in the orange and blue room right now, Shane Matthews. We'll join him in just a second. We got stuff to talk about. I heard Shane's show this day. He's sticking to his predictions. He thinks the Eagles will win 8. We'll talk about that. Also, what's this kind of ridiculous statement that Billy Napier's on the hot seat? Who determines that? I don't know. We'll ask Shane about that. But first, this quick message from MELDON Law and then Shane Matthews right here on the Buddy Martin Show. Come join us. Last time I saw him, we were going to a football game, the orange and blue game. And, Jeffrey is an inveterate fan. He's always trying to one-up everybody. And now, look at him. Got a good-looking pair of orange and blue glasses on, dude. Look at you.
Yeah, man. I love them, buddy.
They look sharp. Now, here's the thing about it. When you're a reporter, they always tease you if you say anything or too much positive about the Gators. They'll say, take off those orange and blue glasses. In your case, you can put them on and talk about the Gators, right?
I need to put them on.
Well, you had them on today when you talked to the head basketball coach at the University of Florida. Tell us about Todd Golden.
Well, so Todd Golden this is his first year of putting the team together. And he's done an amazing job in the offseason of, utilizing the transfer portal to rebuild the team. And when Castleton went down last year, that was pretty much the end of our season. And this year, I don't think he's going to be relying on just one big man.
He's gone in the portal and got several big guys. You'll be looking like this to them. And so will I, by the way. And I know you're a fan of all Gator sports, but you particularly like Todd. And it's going to be fun to see if we can get it going in the right direction.
Yeah. I was in Israel the last 2 weeks. I just got back Sunday. So I was telling Todd that because, he played over in Israel for a while. Mm-hmm. And, we're both Jewish. Mm-hmm. So he said, Jeffrey, why didn't you tell me you were over there? I'm recruiting some guy over there in Israel. I would have had you do a home visit. So,
how about that? He does it all, everything, and now he's recruiting too. Jeffrey MELDON, he practices law. He won't back down. Now right to the orange and blue room where our colleague and friend, I guess he's still our friend. I don't know, maybe he's not. He doesn't like me anymore. I don't know. I heard part of his show today. Good to see you back in the mix and good to see you back on the show. Shane Matthews, Pot Up with the Matthews, Monday through Friday on Facebook Live. How are you, Shane?
I'm good, buddy. How you doing?
Pretty good for an old man. Pretty good. And, boy, you were coming on really with a little passion today. Well, your guess about, and you've been consistent. One thing about you, Shane, is you're always consistent. You're sticking to your guns. You say Billy is going to win 8, and then Mertz is going to be Fine's quarterback. Now, one thing I did like last week, I don't think I talked to you about this during the week. I really liked that Billy came out and said, hey, my guy's got 32 starts in college football. Not many guys got that, Shane.
I think he's got more than anybody.
Somebody said there were 4 others. I don't know. You would know.
Okay. Yeah, maybe so. But he's an experienced guy who's highly recruited. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
Hasn't had a great career at Wisconsin. But let's be honest. Has any quarterback ever come out of Wisconsin worth a damn or had a good career, say?
Russell.
Well, Russell, he played 1 year there.
He transferred
he played 1 year.
From, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But you said come out of it. He either came out of it.
So you're not going to put up big numbers there. So it's just amazing to me how it doesn't matter what position it is, buddy, how Gator fans get so upset about the portal. Mm-hmm. Again, you can only have so many players on your team.
Yeah.
And you got to remember, these kids are going where they think is best for them, regardless of the situation, whether it's money, playing time, wins, whatever it is. You can't control it, so don't worry about it.
Well, I think people just like to see a little more activity. Now, Billy did get a big offensive lineman out in the portal this week, and it looks like he might fit right in if we're led to believe. We're led to believe he will anyway. And I think that he's obviously, we know where he's going with this. He's going to run the football. So he was missing a piece. He got Lindale Hudson, who committed 2 over the weekend. He's got 1 year left. And he played the Florida International. Was in the process, I think, of transferring to USF, wasn't he? When Billy snatched him and brought him here. So he's 6'6", 300. I think maybe a little bigger than that now. But anyway, so what'd you think of that pickup?
I mean, I know nothing about the kid, but as I said, I trust the coach's evaluation. I know a lot of people are upset about the kid from Rhode Island who went to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Think about what I just said, buddy. In all your wild years of covering college football, did you ever think you'd be wanting a player from Rhode Island to come to the University of Florida?
No, but I didn't think I want a coach from Utah being the head coach either. So there you go.
Right, but my point is,
yeah,
it just let the coaches evaluate the players and just let them do their jobs.
Okay, I agree with that. We don't agree. We don't disagree on too much. I'm not at 8 on over and under and all that stuff yet, but I'm climbing above 5.5.
I mean, I could be 100% wrong, but I do not see how we're a worse football team than we were last year. I don't know how that's possible.
You were talking today about there are 4 games that, really basically that you might concede, maybe, I don't know. But those other 8 are winnable, and we're looking forward to it.
No, it's the other way around. There's only two games that I do not think we can win.
Right.
Georgia, LSU.
Okay.
There was 4 games that are kind of the toss-ups. In my opinion, I don't think they're toss-ups. We talk Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Kentucky, and Missouri. I think we win all of them.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, Shane, baseball team had a great weekend, man. What'd you do over the weekend, by the way? You're home now for a change. I'll tell you what I did. I took a weekend and relaxed and watched a bunch of baseball, both the Rays and Gators. It was the Rays played with the Yankees. Gators swept Bandy. I watched a little bit of golf. We're going to talk about that because we got a major coming up. Ate way too much food. And rested up. I'm ready to go. What'd you do?
I watched some sport. There wasn't a whole lot of good sports on this weekend. I mean, yeah, the Gator games were great because you blew
XFL
them out.
Championship, Shane.
Which the team that I picked to win it.
Yeah, right. And Steve Jr. Not Steve Jr.
They were just they weren't very exciting games. We just blew them out.
Yeah.
But, it's that time of the year when, basketball's winding down, NBA's winding down, and Major League Baseball, I'll watch a little bit here and there. I like it better when the playoffs come about. But we have the softball regionals crank up Thursday or Friday, so that'll be fun. And then baseball starts I mean, we got one more regular season series, but then the real season starts after that.
Tim's having a tough go right now, your buddy. Has he said anything to you? By the way, I want to make sure I get this correct. It was Scotty Spurrier and Stoopsy. Their team won. Yeah.
No, I mean, the softball's had a lot of bad breaks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one of those deals where they've hit the ball hard. It goes right to somebody when the other team, you know, they just have these little bloopers. We can't get people out. It's his worst year in his 18 years here, believe it or not. But they got the number one recruiting class coming in, and now nothing matters now. Now it's a brand new year. Go see what can happen out in Palo Alto.
Well, Skylar's having a great year. She got the Scholar Athlete and Player of the Year and all that.
She should be the Player of the Year internationally.
Yeah, she should be. She's something else special. So, all right. So, did you watch any golf? We'll get to this in a minute. But did you watch any?
I did.
Would you root for Jason Day?
I don't really root for anybody. I just like watching golf. That tournament, there was nothing else on, so I watched it. But I cannot stand those tournaments when they shoot 24 under par. It's the golf course is way too easy.
I don't know. I played that golf course. I played that golf course 100 times, and it wasn't easy to me. That's all I got to say.
Well, yeah.
Bradshaw was a member there. We played it literally 100 times. So
the golf team, the boys golf team, played round one today up in Michigan.
How'd they do?
They shot 5 under, but a team who's not even ranked, called the Georgia Bulldogs, shot 18 under.
Oh, stop it! They're gonna win everything.
I do not know how they shot. I mean, think about that, buddy. There's only 5 players. They shot 18 under. It ain't a scramble.
No.
18 under.
Best ball,
Our team
right?
shot 5. So we gotta have a big day tomorrow.
Okay, good luck to those Gators up there. That's for sure. Well, Georgia also scored big in the recruiting portal. I mean, they got Dylan Raioli, and he's supposed to be the stud. He's the guy, 6'3", 220, number one player in the country, etc. Trained with Patrick Mahomes. So I guess Kirby's going to get every 5-star. What's he got, 3 or 4 so far? I mean,
they're back-to-back national champs. They're going. People want to go play for them.
Yeah. Well, need you to come back. Make a comeback. Suit up. All right. So by the way, I had a pedicure. Okay. Have you ever heard the term metrosexual?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's you go do women's things, whatever. I got no problem with that. I feel secure in my sexuality. But a friend of mine gave me a pedicure, and I've been needing it, man, awful. And my wife and I went, and I treated her one. I used my gift certificate, and I had myself a pedicure. Feet felt good. I came home, got up on in the big easy chair, turned on the TV, got myself a little something to eat and drink, and enjoyed my weekend of relaxing and watching balls. So I really get into baseball now because it's a summer sport, and I love it this time of year. All right, so you got any picks on on your PGA yet? Are we going to talk about this tomorrow on your show?
We definitely. I forgot. Yeah. You need my picks? I haven't even looked.
I know. Well, you know who the guys are. You not too hard to figure out who the studs are, right?
But I don't. I like
John Rahm,
I like to go outside the box.
Scotty Scheffler. Well, I know. You've been picking Schauffele for 100 years now, and so you can't pick McIlroy, can you? After what he's been going through, I'm gonna take Justin Thomas and Brooks Koepka. The guys can come and play now. Remember, from Live, they can play.
Yeah,
so
Koepka's always going to be in it.
Yeah.
Where is this court? Oh, it's up in New York. I don't know.
It's Oak Hill, Rochester. It's
So I'll go with I totally forgot about this. I'm going to go with.
Well, we'll let you finish it tomorrow. You won't go. You want to pick McIlroy? You can have him.
I don't want. No, I don't ever pick Rory. I'll pick mine tomorrow. I got to do my research tonight.
All right. Well, we'll let you know tomorrow night what Shane picked. And so,
right.
I got to pick Justin Thomas, and I'm not going to pick Scheffler. Rahm, I always like to pick, and then I'll give you my third to bar too. All right. So let's talk about a subject here that keeps coming up. I know what you're going to say. I'm not kind of but this is actually a post today. Someone posted this. I'm just going to say it came from 247, okay? Whatever. And talking about Billy on the hot seat. Now, I don't know what hot seat means to most people. I suggested that he was on the clock, and then on the other end, so am I. But anyway, I said specifically that doesn't mean he's on the hot seat. And you said, I think at the time, he'd have to go 2-9 to be on the hot seat. I think is what you said. How do you feel about that?
He ain't going anywhere. I don't even care what the record is this coming year. I mean, some of these people, these publications, they do that, buddy, just to get the clicks or whatever it's called. Because I look at Twitter quite a bit just to, because I don't watch the news or anything, kind of see what's going on. And you'll see some of these, I forgot what site it is, but they say these general managers or this person says this guy could be the best player at this position in the league. And I think they just make up a lot of it. I really do.
See? Yeah. Yeah, it seems
I think
that
I
way
may
now.
start a page and start making up stuff.
Let's do it. What should we call it? The Masked Man.
We'll call it a good name.
Well, let's make up a bunch of crap and say, hey, did you hear about this? And
no, to answer your question, he's not on any hot seat. He's not on any clock. They're going to give him plenty of time. I'm just telling you, this team's going to be better than people think.
Yeah, I'm starting to think a little more like you. I wrote a column last week about it, and I wrote this in a way that I wanted people to understand. Just being a good guy doesn't mean you're going to win games. But Billy I don't know him really well personally, but I think based on what I know from my friends and people and just watching him, he's a good man and a good coach. Yeah. I mean, you want your son to play for somebody like that, right? And he's taking his time. He's trying to do it right, and he's not lying and cheating and buying players and all that. Well, he's buying them, but he's buying them legally. You just think, if there's a football God in heaven, then a guy like that's got to be rewarded. You would hope he would be. Now, Gator fans got to buy into that for that to happen. And so, hot seat, but I think, and again, we talked about it last week. He's got all the things, because you said for 2 years he needs a facility. They need a facility. They got the facility. Go off the checklist. So, do they have the right guy? That's what we're waiting to see. And I think he'll have to produce on the field before we'll ever be able to say that. Shane, the big story right now is the Florida-Georgia game. Because now, with the disclosure, the TIAA is going to be refurbished. I didn't hear about this. I hadn't heard at all about this. It came out of nowhere. And they're apparently going to have to shut it down in Jacksonville. And they're talking now about 2 years. So, will Kirby Smart get his wishes finally? Because he will seize on this and say, oh, yeah, we got to go home and home. They're going to go home and home. And once it goes home and home, it'll never come back. It might come back once every 5 years. So, I don't know. I sure hate. The quote came out said, I read today was, we look forward to having conversations with the appropriate city of Jacksonville, which will provide more information. It's a kind of a BS line for Georgia's Josh Brooks. Did you know his name was Josh Brooks? I bet you didn't even know it, did you?
Who?
The AD of Georgia.
It is?
Yeah. I didn't either. Anyway, so he put this line out about just a BS line about whatever. But Strictly did offer the possibility for the Jaguars to play in Gainesville. How do you like that?
That ain't gonna happen. I think they'll play in Orlando. But yeah, I don't know why it takes 2 years to redo stadiums when Texas A&M can tear half their damn stadium down, half their campus, and build it within a year. Yeah, I think people, when they start renovating stadiums, they need to go find out who's the contractors at A&M and hire them, because they can get it done fast.
They sure can, can't they? Well, we're going to have Mark Daniels on from the Beat of Sports in Orlando. I don't know if you know Mark or not. Been around a long time. They call him the coach. And we'll ask him about that speculation regarding, regarding what's going to happen there. I don't know.
It doesn't. It's close to Gainesville, but you got to think about the natural grass, how it's going to hold up playing NFL games and college games, the parking situation. It's a no-brainer to me that they wouldn't play in Orlando.
Well, I don't think Mark thinks that, but we'll find out. We'll have the locals information is there. All right, so Tom Brady buying into the Raiders. I mean, that just ain't right, is it? It doesn't matter. They don't. If you talk about the anti-Raiders, it would be Tom Brady. He was everything the Raiders were not, and vice versa. And now he's going to like a minority partner. Does that not go down well with you? It didn't to me.
Well, I like I've told people, pro sports is different than college sports to me. Even if you play for a team for a long time, it's a business. It's totally now college athletics is changing to become a business, I guess. But it's just different. College sports and pro sports. I didn't even bat an eye that he was going to be I assume he's going to be a part owner.
Minority owner is what he's trying to become, but it's not been approved. All right, final thing from you. I'll let you get out of here because then you got to get up tomorrow morning and do your show, and you're past your bedtime at 9:30. You start falling asleep. So let me get you here. I mean, look, never underestimate LeBron James. Okay, I mean, Steph Curry is great, but did we forget about the greatness of LeBron? I mean, did he put Steph away once already at Cleveland? I mean, he just played great. He played, and he was intimidating. He was an intimidating factor out there. And Klay Thompson couldn't throw it in the ocean. I watched a little NBA, as you can tell. I would think that you would. So now we get to watch who is the new greatest player in the NBA. I haven't seen much of him, but boy, Jokic is just phenomenal.
The Joker. Oh, he should have won the MVP.
I mean, yeah.
They'll win the West. I've watched a lot of the Eastern Conference because it's on when I can watch it.
Yeah,
and I've yet to watch much of the Western Conference. It's too late.
Yeah, it is late.
I think Denver's the best team left in the NBA. Well, I think they were the best team overall the entire year. But boy, he's phenomenal.
That's huge. They haven't had any glory days there since Batumbo and Bernie Bickerstaff were there, and they knocked off was it Seattle in the first round, and I've covered them for almost 8 years, and that team was solid. Doug Moe was great to cover fun, but they couldn't win. They got to game 2 of the playoffs against the Lakers one time in the playoffs. That was huge, just getting there, and it won in game 2. So anyway, this guy Jokic, I said this about Shaquille O'Neal when I first laid eyes on him. It doesn't take a prophet to figure this out. When I saw him playing in Orlando in the SEC tournament as a freshman for LSU, I came back and called my buddy in Denver and said, Joe, I have seen the future of college basketball. His name is Shaquille O'Neal. I couldn't believe it, how big and athletic he was. I feel the same way now upon finally getting a chance to see Jokic because his games are in the other time zone. And that guy is the future of the NBA, isn't he?
Well, he's. I think he's won 3 MVPs, but
yeah, I know. But I mean, did you know much about him? Have you seen him play that much?
Oh yeah, I agree to a degree. About Shaquille. This dude's way better than Shaquille.
No, to a sport. I'm talking about to their sport. Shaquille was not. Shaquille to college basketball was a huge impact. Jokic, I think, now even LeBron and Steph Curry, all those guys, this guy can dominate and Steph Curry takes a game over. This guy literally takes a game over, and the boards and everything else. His numbers.
He can. He has a lot of triple double. He's a really good player.
I'll say.
Nuggets got some good players around him too, though.
Yeah. All right, who's on the show tomorrow besides me? Or I'm my own? Maybe I'm not.
You're on, buddy. Everybody waits for you on
Oh,
Thursday.
yeah, sure they do. Yeah, right.
I got 3 texts out waiting on people to text me back, and first one that texts me back gets on.
Gets
tomorrow.
in. You better hurry up out there. Well, we'll burn it up tomorrow. I'll give you my picks in golf tomorrow. And
Yes, I will have my picks. I totally forgot about the picks.
I got to get, when you leave me, I have to get you back in mental condition again.
Yeah.
To be here. But it's where your feet are planted, Shane. Come on now.
Mm-hmm. I'm ready. I love the majors.
Yeah, I do too. The great Shane Matthews. Pick him up. Pot up in the morning with Shane. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate
All right,
you.
buddy. Take care.
Thank you. And let's go right on over to the Orange and Blue room where my friend Mark Daniels. Boy, we haven't talked to Mark in a long time. So glad to get back with him. He's the beat of sports in Orlando. Used to work with my friend Jerry Green. Mark, good evening to you.
Buddy, how are you? I don't have the same type of decor as you do. I'm in a side room in my house, so pardon the lack of attractive background. It's kind of boring.
You have a real radio show, though, see, I don't. So there you go. Yeah, Mark, how many years have you been on there?
I came to Orlando in May of '89, so I've been here for 34 years now.
On this station? How long?
On the frequency I'm on now is when I came here. Then we put the all sports station on, and I was over there. And then as they switched the frequency, so yeah, pretty much for 34 years. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought about my friend Jerry Green the other day, and I don't know if you know the full story of Jerry and how we met. Do you know that? Not that it matters.
I do not. Please share.
We were at the paper over today, which was a young upstart. We got your guys, great team. We're looking for a guy, and we read some stuff from Jerry in the Fort Pierce paper.
Okay.
And we brought him up ostensibly to start covering high schools and other things. He immediately filled in and fit in and soon became blossomed, with his whimsical style. And so when I left to go to New York with Gannett, I became the New York City sports columnist, I recommended they give Jerry the column. So you need to give Jerry Green his column. He's, and they probably would have anyway, and he did. He went there and did a great job. Very funny, as you know. Then he went to Orlando, and then you guys met up. And talk about Jerry just for a minute. R.I.P. to my friend Jerry Green. How'd you guys hook up? You did a radio for a lot of years with Jerry.
Yeah, when I came to Orlando and started to meet people in our business, Jerry was one of the first guys that I connected with. And I mean, there's so much you love about Jerry because he was so genuine. Gave his opinion, didn't care what you thought about it, didn't care if you liked the way he talked, walked, ate, and so forth. And there was just something about Jerry that you just laughed at. He didn't mind being the brunt of the jokes, but he's very passionate about his work. But I thought Jerry was one of the first people, and Buddy, you would know this too. For many years in our industry, you had to act a certain way. You had to do a talk show a certain way. You had to write a column a certain way. And Jerry was one of those guys that kind of broke the mold where he wrote in a humorous way that typically was supposed to be for that columnist for the, maybe the local section, when Dave Barry started writing in Miami. But Jerry put a humorous spin on his sports coverage that not many people were doing at the time. Mm-hmm. So that was really unique about Jerry. And then I had the idea of, having it come on radio, do a segment, make some football picks. Mm-hmm. We had some fun with that. And then that grew. And then he would come in for, about an hour. And then we had him on Mondays on my show. And then Jerry and I did work together for a couple of years before he got sick. So I love Jerry. There are many great stories. It's funny. I was in Atlanta last week for a UCF event with Gus Malzahn and our athletic director, Terry Mahajer. And somebody stopped me and said, Mark, I moved to Atlanta about 5 years ago. And every time I drive by the Varsity, the famous restaurant in Atlanta, and get a chili dog, I think of Jerry Green, because Jerry shared a story that when he was in Atlanta for the Olympics, his rental car was stolen. And as he's standing in the parking lot at the Varsity, and the cops are saying, can you tell us what the car looked like? Jerry goes, it's right there driving by. and somebody remembered that story and came up to me last week to share that. And there's so many people that have done that that say, I remember Jerry doing this and that. Of course, the press box in Green Bay where they tried to have him, arrested and everything. But Jerry was a great, great guy. Never took himself too serious. Was really good at his craft, and I think in some ways ahead of his time.
He loved him. He loves him some highlight. He really loved highlight. And we would go back in the day when we had $10. We leave the St. Pete Times or someplace back in the day, and we go over to the dog track, and then we go from the dog track to catch the last highlight game. You
sure.
Yeah, and I did the same thing over in Cocoa when Jerry's there. So anyway, Jerry's what a sweet guy. Tell me about Orlando and the Jaguars, and we talked about it for 2 seconds prior to the show. Shane Matthews just said, I think they'll go to Orlando before they'll go to Gainesville. What do you think? What do you hear? You cover that. You're the coach. You cover that beat. What's going to happen in Orlando? Is it going to be a serious deal with the Jags?
Well, I mean, if the Jaguars need a home, you start to think about where can they play that makes sense. I'm not quite sure, Gainesville provides them enough of a permanent temporary home, if that makes sense, because the Gators have their season. Camping World Stadium in Orlando certainly is there as an option for them. The good folks at Florida Citrus Sports put on, multiple bowl games every holiday season. Yeah. They're hosting the Florida State LSU game this year. And I think Steve Hogan, the CEO president there, has made it clear if the opportunity arises, they certainly would be interested in doing that. They're also in the process of trying to ask the county for additional money to upgrade that stadium. But I think, if the Jaguars need a home, I'm not quite sure who else makes sense. Would Orlando embrace it? Sure. NFL football. I think the Jags could play a preseason game here every year. But, buddy, I'm kind of curious what the Jaguars really do. If they need a place to play for a couple of years, my first thought is probably half the games go to London. I mean, it's where they play games now every single year.
You think that many? You think that many, huh?
I think they would. I mean, the Jags this year play back-to-back games over in Europe. So my guess is that they play maybe 4 or 5 games in London, and then maybe a few games here. But I'm not quite sure whether stadium, makes sense. I guess you could go to Atlanta and play there. Yeah. But if the opportunity arises, I think Orlando would be very interested.
Well, we'll see how that plays out. And you might be right because everybody's going to get what they want. Kirby's going to get his Florida, Georgia home and home.
Oh, yeah. That's the question, buddy. If Florida, Georgia goes home and home,
he'll never come back.
I'm not convinced. Even if they did home and home, one Atlanta, one Jacksonville, as long as Kirby's smart there, I think Kirby would be like, no, we're good.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. All right, real quick, I got about 90 seconds. Franz Beer's in the orange and blue room, and I'm so thankful to get with you again. Mark, it's great to hear your voice, and we got to do this more often. The Big 12, I had to kind of look it up to remind myself of what team I kind of remembered, but I didn't know. And, people don't realize, some people don't realize you're playing this year in the Big 12. And
that's
people
correct.
Say, and people say, wait, that's 2000? No, it's this year. Matter of fact, I think K-State plays that game in Orlando. They play UCF on September 23rd, right? Is that right?
We open at Kansas State.
Open there. Okay. So right. So,
then we're going to Oklahoma. But the Big 12 starts this year. UCF's excited about it. Got a tough non-conference game with Boise State. 9 conference games. Major step up in competition. So it's going to be an exciting season. And last year the Big 12 was arguably the deepest league. Maybe not as top heavy as an SEC, but as far as depth goes, I think the same thing in 2023. I think it may be the deepest conference in the country.
Yeah. UCF, BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, right?
Yep.
So
it'll
be
with
interesting.
Oklahoma and Texas in 23.
Yeah. And by the way, are you going to what's going to happen to Malzahn? I think he's encroaching on what once was called Gator territory. And I think they're more particularly guys like when they got Trent Whittemore. I think that's a good pick, good find for them. But they're going to be a factor in the recruiting now, aren't they?
I think Gus done a great job the last couple of years. He's worked the portal as good as anybody, and then he's brought in the two highest ranked high school classes UCF's ever had. A big reason is going to the Big 12. He brought a number of 4-star kids at major programs in our state and outside we're trying to get. Right. So I think he's really done a good job in making inroads at a lot of places that UCF had a hard time knocking down the door.
Right. Mark Daniels, the Beat of Sports. Love talking to you, buddy. Let's do it again.
All right, man. We'll be in touch again. Take care.
Thank you very much, Mark Daniels. This, and then we're going to go get Franz, the great Franz Beard, lurking in the shadows of the orange and blue room. And he's got plenty to talk about. He wrote some great stuff.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life. And the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
All right, thanks very much, Jeff Cardozo, to the orange and blue room, and here he is, the man, Francis Beard. What's up, Francis?
I'm enjoying listening to the folks in the ACC squirm about the fact that they've got 7 schools actively pursuing a way to get out of the league. But let me clue you in on one thing, buddy. Nobody wants them. That's just it. You know, nobody wants them. You got to have schools that are going to move the needle and television. And quite frankly, I guarantee you, the SEC does not want Miami, does not want Florida State. They don't. They really don't want North Carolina or North Carolina State or Virginia.
They don't want anybody.
No, you've got 16 schools. You got the perfect scheduling storm that you could possibly have. You've got every team going to play home and home every 4 years. You know, this is it. TV loves it. This is what ESPN loves. And trust me, if ESPN likes it, then it ain't going to change. And ESPN, you know, here's an interesting note for you, buddy. There are 2 basketball schools that move the needle on ESPN. And you know who they are?
Well, Kentucky's one.
Yeah. You know what the other one is?
And it used to be North Carolina. I'm not sure anymore. Who is it?
No, North Carolina
Auburn?
doesn't.
Yeah.
Never has.
Not Duke. Not anymore.
Not Duke. Kansas.
Really? Well, you would think they would be as, I guess, brand's been around so long.
You could put Kansas. You could put Kansas on there with a homeless shelter from Fairbanks, Alaska, and it will out.
Wait! No, that's no team, France. Homeless shelter from Fairbanks, Alaska. That doesn't sound real to me, France, for some reason. I don't know why, but anyway.
Well, you could put Kansas on with one, and it will outdraw the typical Saturday night game of the SEC on ESPN. Now, if it's Alabama and say LSU, that's a different story. If it's somebody like that, it's a different story. Now, there are games that will, but the typical game, like I guarantee you, if it's Ole Miss and say Kentucky on Saturday night, Kansas and anybody will outdraw it. Kentucky basketball will outdraw Kentucky football could play Alabama, and Kentucky basketball would have higher ratings. Period.
Well, they had a little war there between basketball and football, and Mark Stoops, and and claiming his ground. But so interesting. Mary Helen McCollum says, I hope we never get Miami and FSU in the SEC. France, we've heard about this for a century. FSU wanted a chance. Yeah, but we've heard about FSU was trying to. Remember when Peterson was there? They'd killed to be in the SEC. And then when Bobby got things going, he took the ACC job because he could win a bunch of games, and he did.
Yeah. Well, it's true. But here's the thing that you got to look at. You got to look at top to bottom the athletic program. What do they bring? Okay, in Florida, do you realize Florida's won a national championship in every sport, in almost every sport out there? Haven't won one in volleyball. They've come close to the
Soccer.
Final Four. They've won one in soccer.
They did?
Women's soccer, oh yes. Women's soccer was won one. Cross country has not, although the other track sports have. And, and women's basketball. That's it. Every other sport's won a national championship. And lacrosse, excuse me. But lacrosse is new, and they are a national power. But every other sport's won at least one national championship. And FSU has won national championships in women's soccer, women's softball, and three in football. That's it.
Yeah.
You look at this. North Carolina wants to be in the Big Ten. They don't want to be in the SEC, and the reason being is they got all these sports programs that are not part of the SEC. Men's lacrosse, men's soccer. They pride themselves. They have fencing. Fencing is a collegiate sport at North Carolina. Do you know that?
I don't see anything wrong with fencing. I'm just not one that would be a touche guy.
If you were younger, you could handle your intramural Flynn.
I could.
That's right.
It's a frightening thought.
So my point being is this. The SEC is not going to expand, and I don't care what anybody says, it ain't going to happen. It is not going to happen.
I don't know where that's coming from. I've not heard that they were going to expand. I don't know who's making that up.
No, there are people who are trying to put that narrative.
Well, I've heard today about and I heard it from the Feinbaum show, and I tell you, he was Brandon, the reporter from this National Beat. What's his name? He's a great guy, but on the show.
Dellinger?
Yeah. No, not Dellinger. No. Brandon,
Brett McMurphy?
No. This guy's an SEC guy. I think it was his name in a minute. But he was on Feinbaum today. And he's reporting from the ACC. And he's just said, talking about a lot of hypotheticals. He said, we've got hypothetical after hypothetical after hypothetical. And one of the hypotheticals is maybe they just absolutely scrub the ACC and start over and start a new league and call it something else.
Yeah, but you got to.
Well, wait, this is what he said. And you can comment. I just want to say, and he said that would cost $500 million to pay back. So that ain't happening anytime soon. Anyway, there's a lot of scenarios there in the ACC. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The ACC has screwed itself into a situation that it can't get out of. Do you know how much it costs to leave the ACC? $120 million for any school to leave the ACC. The ACC has one chance and one chance only to survive as a major league, and that is to bring in Notre Dame for football. And Notre Dame's not going to do it. They don't have to. They don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
They can end up at Notre Dame. They're going to end up with a contract that's probably going to pay them about $65 or $70 million a year, just for their football. For their football. So why would you join the ACC? You're already going to be making more than the ACC, and by joining the ACC, it's still going to be a weak league. Somebody made a point this morning. I was listening on a radio show, and I think it was Rick Neuheisel that made the point. The SEC is played in places like Starkville and Athens and Gainesville and Oxford and Fayetteville and College Station, on and on and on, and Auburn and Tuscaloosa. The ACC you got Raleigh, which is a pretty good sized place, and stuff like that. The ACC is a bit, Miami, the perceptions, Pittsburgh, Syracuse, the perceptions are different.
Yeah,
The
good point.
the SEC is a small town Southern league,
And it's their universe.
and it is the universe. And that's the whole thing. People don't live and breathe and eat and sleep
Yeah.
and ACC football. They just don't. But in Alabama, people, every year there are probate clashes over who gets the tickets. Because somebody died, and they're wondering who gets the season tickets, as that get passed down from generation to generation. And that doesn't happen in ACC. I covered the ACC. I was up there, loved it, and enjoyed it. I really
Great year in basketball season. Now the SEC is a lot better. Back then, it was the dominant conference.
Well, I loved, my gosh, Dean Smith. I was there when you had Dean Smith and Lefty Drizel, Norm Sloan. I mean, my goodness, what a league it was. But it was an 8-team league at that point in time, and now you look at this and you've got mega leagues. The SEC is going to be 16 teams. The Big Ten is, I saw an interesting thing that Ross Dellinger was writing about, and he was saying that the Big Ten, the perception is the Big Ten is going to go raid the Pac-12 and pick up Oregon, Washington, Stanford, and California, and that's the direction I believe they're going. But the point was made that you take Virginia and North Carolina, for example, with the sports they play, like, again, talking about the soccer, the field hockey for women, all these sports that aren't played in the SEC, that are played in the Big Ten. You pick up a natural rival there with North Carolina and Virginia, and say North Carolina State going in there too. You pick up a natural rival with Maryland, which used to be in the league.
Right.
That makes sense. But here's the thing. Even though you pick that up, what happens? Does it move the TV needle?
It's what counts.
And it doesn't. It really, truly doesn't.
All right,
why SEC is the best league in the country.
No doubt. Let's just see if this moves your needle. Before I get to the discussion about baseball and one of the great series in Florida baseball history last weekend for the Gators, and Vandy, you covered that whole series. I want to talk about this guy. Think about this for a second. What would it have been like, although they couldn't have legally claimed the SEC, had he decided to come back and play for Steve Spurrier? What would it have been like to have had that guy?
Woo.
Think about it.
Oh, my God.
I think he was misinformed about the kind of football, because if you look at Spurrier's numbers, look at the times he ran the ball. Look how many 1,000-yard rushers he had. They ran the ball a lot, and especially in the second half.
Sure.
Can you imagine Emmett taking a handoff on the draw play in the second half of that Spurrier team in 90? He'd have made a gazillion yards.
Can you imagine Emmitt Smith running when the defense isn't playing 8 in the box, which they could not have done?
Right.
That's the whole thing. And I think that if he had it to do over again, now I guarantee you he wouldn't say he had to do it over again, because he won 3 Super Bowl rings with the Dallas Cowboys, and he became the all-time rusher in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys. But if he goes back to being 20-year-old Emmitt Smith again, if that could happen again, and he's faced with that decision, and could know about Spurrier's offense as well as you could know now, right, what decision would he have made? And then they're throwing this other thing, buddy. How much NIL money?
Yeah, really.
Emmitt
Make
Smith
$1 million or so a year at least.
He playing in the NFL, he might have had to take a pay cut.
Exactly. Good point.
So yeah, but yeah, I've thought about, wow, Emmett with Spurrier. Wow, what a concept that would.
What a concept! And by the way, you want to take a guess at how old he is today? Happy birthday, Emmett! Or maybe it was yesterday. I forget which one. Anyway, how old do you think he is?
Emmett probably 52, 53 years old.
Let's see how many people can guess it right. All right, who can guess how old Emmett Smith is? So we'll hold the Franz guesses 53, whatever. Two. All right, so Franz, let's get into some baseball talk here. I mean, could it have gone better than what it went for the Gators in Vanderbilt? And you wrote a beautiful story this morning. It shows your knowledge as a baseball writer. I taught the intricacies of and the moves Sully made with Caglione coming out and pitching on Sunday and pitching his best. What did he go, 6 1/3?
But 6 2/3 innings, gave up one hit, one walk, hit one batter. That was it.
And Curlin, oh my gosh, look where that kid's come from. I mean, amazing. What's he got, 15 home runs now? He's all-time record. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Record.
And yesterday, Wyatt Langford put one in. If you go outside in about another 15 minutes, you can see that one Wyatt.
I thought that was a North Star out there. That was Wyatt Langford.
Well, the ball landed on the street beyond left field.
Wow.
Over the left field bullpen. And landed on the street back there. I mean, Wyatt Langford's heating up at just the right time. And did you see those two defensive plays he made? Wow.
Yeah, well, against the wall over his head. That was a phenomenal play. And by the way, think he'll get paid a little bit of money? He'll be the third or fourth guy picked in the draft.
Right now, there are people who are saying that
number one.
No, everybody's kind of projecting Paul Skeens as the number one.
Yeah,
and why not? I mean, they're talking about a 6'4", 255-pound guy that averages 17 strikeouts a game.
Right, pitchers usually go higher, but he go. I've been reading projections. He's going to be top 5, maybe 4. I don't know.
Second or third pick.
How much is that going to be worth?
It's going to be worth a lot more than his NIL deal is. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, how is he from Trenton? He is, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He's from Trenton, and he came here as a catcher. He was the bullpen catcher in 2021. He was the bullpen catcher. He was the guy that got to go out there and catch the throwing out the first pitch. Which is kind of relegated to the very last guy stood up. And he was the guy that would get to go out there and do that. But you look at him now and you look at him then. This guy looks like a linebacker. He's 6'1", he's 230 pounds, looks like he should be playing middle linebacker for somebody. And he runs. My gosh, the guy can run. And he has totally transformed his body. But the thing that I love about him, and people are saying, well, he doesn't have as many home runs this year. But he's not that far behind where he was last year home run total. I think he's about 5 behind at the same point. And this is when you consider that he also missed 7 ball games, couldn't slide for at least 2 or 3 weeks after that because of the nature of the injury, etc. So he's a guy that has had to play a precautious role out there. But you look at how he has been so selective at the plate. He's got 44 walks. His on-base percentage is 535.
Wow.
Unbelievable. I mean, he gets on base. You look at these doubles that he keeps hitting, and he keeps hitting these doubles that just hook past the third baseline and go out in that left field corner. What a player.
Yeah, I was just going to say they better build a bigger bank in Trenton. They're going to need it to hold his cash. All right, so let's take Emmett down, and we had several guesses here. Michael Burton said 50, does that say 56? And Franz, the number. The number was 54. That's all, Emmett, 54. Happy birthday, Emmett. All right, well, okay. They got Kentucky this weekend. Now their latest poll today they're up to number 4.
Number 2 in the coaches poll.
Okay.
4 in all the other 3.
Yeah. And we thought that was all behind them. And as you correctly chastised everybody who kept saying they were dead, but they are 40-12, 18-9 in the SEC. I think it's a record. Let's see here.
Yeah.
And now they're now ahead of Vanderbilt, 2 games ahead of Vandy in the SEC.
One game ahead of Vanderbilt.
One game ahead. Yeah.
One game ahead of Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
South Carolina is 15-11, so they are 3 games up in the win column and 1 behind in the loss column. So that means they're 2 full games ahead of South Carolina.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Arkansas leads them by a game, right?
Yeah.
Overall.
Arkansas is the only team in the SEC that controls its own destiny. Arkansas goes to Vanderbilt and sweeps. They're the SEC champions, and there isn't anything anybody can do about it because they're the only team that can win 22 games. Okay? Florida, however, is the only team that can win 21. Think about that now. Florida can win 21 ball games, and Florida's the only team that can win that. To do that. Now, to do that means sweeping at Kentucky, which is 23-4 at home. They're really, really tough at home, buddy. Yeah. And but here's the thing: if you get 1 win at Kentucky, that's 19. That's okay. That means that you, by getting 1 win, you are guaranteed a top 4 spot, which means that you don't play the first day in the SEC tournament. That means you get to hold Sproat out a day, which is a big thing. Think about this now. If Sproat can hold out a day, you got your number 1, Brandon Sproat, going against somebody else's number 2. Pretty good deal there. And then you come back the next day when everybody else is pitching their number 3 guy, and all of a sudden you've got Waldrop going there.
Yeah.
That's really huge. And then if Caglione, if he has indeed solved his issues with control, and that's going to be the real key. He threw at the end of the 5th inning, buddy. He comes in with a 71-mile-an-hour changeup.
Kill him. Slate him.
Comes in with a 77-mile-an-hour changeup. Then comes in with like a 79-mile-an-hour changeup again. 3 straight. I asked him, I said, when is the last time you threw 3 pitches in the 70s when you were consecutive, when you were in Little League? And he laughed. He said, probably so. I mean, if he can spot that, because then notice what he was doing. He wasn't throwing, the Hummer. When I mean that, I mean the 99 mile an hour. He was holding. He threw a few of those, just enough. He threw that pitch just enough times to let people know, I still got it. And then he was setting it up. But don't you know, after you've watched 3 straight changeups,
80 miles an hour looks like heat.
And here comes 95. I mean, it's looking like it's going to break the sound barrier.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yep.
A lot of people are suddenly saying Florida might be right now, if they can sustain this, the best team in the country. And I wouldn't disagree with it.
Wow. All right, so I'm going to do this. I'll come back and let you tell me about this quarterback. I don't know much about him. Austin Simmons jumped up today in the rankings from Moorhaven and climbed 45 spots. Another Gator quarterback. I'll let you tell me about that. And Gator's got a little bit of activity going on in recruiting in basketball and football. We'll come back after this message from Chris Spears, if I can find his spot, and then we'll tell you about what that is all about. So hang on a second when I find Chris's spot here. My man Chris. They don't come any better than Chris. Stand by.
Hello, buddy. Chris Spears here for Prestige Auto Sales. We're proud to be the transportation partner for the Orange and Blue Show. And it's our goal here at Prestige Auto Sales to make it both easy and affordable for Gator Nation to own nicer, newer cars, trucks, and SUVs. Our phone number here to the dealership is 694-1234. And you can check us out 24/7 online at chrissaysyes.com. Go Gators.
All right, Chris Spears working hard. I saw him today out there in the lot, moving that stuff off the lot. All right, Francis, tell us about this quarterback and tell us what do you think of the recruiting, getting the big offensive linemen? Where are they? It seems like you're picking up some steam.
Well, they've been picking up steam, and Florida is doing this thing systematically, buddy. And I know a lot of people say, well, gee, they want that result right now. They want to see the here and now. They want to see the guy that's got the 12 stars after his name and everything like that, who's in the transfer portal. Billy's going about this very systematically. I like the way he's doing it. And I think I made a comment yesterday with Edgar Thompson, because he was covering the ball game as well. I said, Florida could, and Scott Carter was there as well. I said, Florida could wind up being a better team with not that great of an improved record. You could end up being a whole lot better next year and still be 7 or 8 wins. And you could be far better because you filled in the gaps. Getting guys like this kid, Austin Simmons, is a step in that right direction. He's from Pahokee. And we used to rule them up. All right, quick question. Who was the Pahokee quarterback that saved the 68 season?
Mel Tillis. Oh, wait a minute. He did something else. That's his hometown, too. The Pahokee quarterback that saved the 68 season?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shoot. 60. I thought that was hilarious. I don't know.
Harold Peacock.
Oh, yes. That's right.
Went up there, and in his only game he ever started in his career, he beat Kentucky up in Kentucky.
Yes, I do remember that now.
Yep.
Very good, sir.
But that was the first Pahokee quarterback of all time. But this is a kid, he's a great dual threat quarterback with a big arm. He's about
2-sport athlete, right? So yep. Baseball, too.
Yep, 6'3" and about, I'd say 190. Really rangy kid. Good skills.
He might get reclassified, someone said. I don't know.
Yeah, there's some talk that he's going to reclassify for 2020.
Well, what would that mean? He would be eligible a year early?
Yeah, he would be. Yeah. I'm not big on that. I'm not big on because of the fact that football is such a demanding game physically. I even have a hard time sometimes with this notion of kids
coming out in spring, like
coming out in the spring,
missing their prom and all graduation, all that stuff.
Yeah, well, like Curlin missed his entire senior season. But you're talking about a kid who started at Berkeley Prep, started at shortstop on his varsity high school team when he was in the 7th grade.
Reminds me of Eddie Feely, who was playing varsity basketball at GHS in the 8th grade. So,
and Eddie was. Remember Eddie's size? You remember what they had him listed at?
Yeah, it was about 5'6", I think, and maybe, and they probably had him listed as 5'10", probably.
They listed him as 5'7" and 143 pounds, and they listed Larry Liberatore as 5'8" and 138, and in the 61 Florida FSU game, Joe Halberstein, big story on the
my old boss
sports section of the game, mine too, of the Gainesville Sun, talking about the tail of the tape for Liberatore and Thiele. Truly a great story. And I think you had Eddie down you were the sports editor
Merritt Island
when he turned Merritt Island into a tremendous program with Leon Bright and Waldo Williams. Yeah.
There's a great lead written by the late Jack Flowers, my buddy, now gone, who worked for me in Cocoa. And they broke a long 2-year losing streak, I think. And the next year they won the game. They won their first game. And the following week, Jack covered the game, and his lead was, everything's back to normal on Merritt Island.
Oh, gosh.
All right, Francis.
Waldo Williams, though, I remember him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he made a big mistake by playing football at FSU. He was a tremendous high school catcher and could have, a lot of people I talked to that year when I was in Cocoa said he's nuts to be playing football in college. And he never did have a great college football career. But I think a lot of people thought he could have been a great college baseball player.
Great stuff, Francis, as always. You can read him on GATORBAIT. If you're not reading it, man, you're a miss. Thanks to all the people that joined this weekend. Man, Franz, you attracted a whole bunch of new people. And kudos to Brendan Martin for the fantastic job.
Yeah.
He snuck in a little Mother's Day special on us, and more people ate it up. And they're smart because they don't get that very often. So it's worth the price of just to read Franz. Appreciate it, my friend. Take care of yourself. All right. The Great Iron Duke coming to you as he does every week here on this program, Mondays and Thursdays. We'll be back on Thursday night, Orange and Blue Blood Thursday. I want to thank my friends at Rinstar Medical Research, which I do every night, because they're so instrumental in what we do here. They support our community. They support the show. They've been doing it for quite some time. And they're also very instrumental in our health, because one of the things they want to do is keep up with what we need to be looking at and find the right kind of medicines for us that fit us. That's why they have these clinical trials that include participation by you. If you'd like to be a part of some, go to rinstar.net and find out how to be a part of some of these clinical research programs they do, and things like Alzheimer's and psoriasis and osteoarthritis, migraines, dementia, fibromyalgia, along with many other conditions that affect us in our community right here. Since their inception in 1998, Rinstar has participated in more than 700 clinical research trials, continue to partner with prominent pharmaceutical and biomedical companies throughout the medical industry. You can qualify. Go to rinstar.net and find out how you can do that. Rinstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Folks, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll be off to Mara to do a little bit of medical procedures in the morning, which we hope will be over with by noon. And if it is, we'll see you tomorrow night. Nothing serious. It's all good. And we will see you then. Same time, same station, right here on The Buddy Martin Show.